Hello students, lesson Sustainable Development Goals, Goal 13 on climate action. The main objective of this lessons are to understand the key aspect of disaster resilience and climate adaptation that include SDG Goal 13. The second objective is to learn the 2030 target under Goal 13. The third objective is to identify the major challenges that stop countries from achieving Goal 13. And the last objective is to discuss a realistic way forward for climate action that actually protects people and development. So let us start the discussion. Student, SDGs stand for Sustainable Development Goal, and Goal 13 is take urgent action to combat climate change and its impact. It works through risk reduction and resilience building, integrating climate into planning, education and capacity building, climate finance and support. Special attention is given to vulnerable countries and communities. So let me make you understand what are the key aspects of disaster resilience and climate adaptation in Goal 13. The first in this context is resilience to climate hazard. Goal 13 clearly pushes countries to strengthen resilience to climate related risk. Resilience here means fewer deaths, fewer people affected, less damage to infrastructure, faster recovery, not repeating the same mistake after every disaster. And climate hazards are not only cyclones, it include flood, drought, heat waves, storm and storm surge, landslide triggered by extreme rains, wildfire risk in dry conditions. A small thought is, if development keeps getting damage, is it sustainable development? Obviously no. And that is why there is a need to understand adaptive capacity, which I have also described in my previous lectures. Adaptation is basically adjusting systems so that climate impacts hurt less. Farmers shifting crop calendar and crop types, cities improving drainage and heat action plans, coastal areas protecting mangroves and planning for storm surge, health system preparing for climate sensitive diseases. And SDG 13 is telling countries, don't just read after disaster, build capacity before it hits. So let me explain to you the mainstreaming climate into policies and planning. This is one of the most important part of SDG 13. Climate action must be integrated into national policies, state, district plans, infrastructure planning, urban planning, agriculture and water planning, health planning. Otherwise, climate stays as one project, not a core development role. Goal 13 include this integration as a target. If climate change is treated like a side topic, it will remain a side priority and disaster will remain as main event. So now let me explain to you the knowledge education, awareness and skills which are dealt in Goal 13. Goal 13 also pushes education and capacity building. This matters because early warning system only work when people know what that warning means. Farmers need climate advisories in usable form. Local governments need training to do risk mapping and resilient planning. Schools and colleges shape long-term behavior and a skill. So climate literacy is not a nice extra, it is a preparedness. Finance, technology and support. This is where many arguments happens in global climate politics. Goal 13 include target that talks about finance mobilization and support for developing countries and vulnerable groups. The official SDGs framing include support mechanism like finance and capacity building, and the reality adoption is expansive. Students, flood protection, drainage upgrades, drought-proof water supply, climate-smart agriculture, these are the few steps taken in this regard. Let me explain to you disaster risk reduction link which is associated with Goal 13. This is where disaster resilience fits strongly. Disaster risk reduction is not only response, It's understanding risk reduction exposure, reducing vulnerability, improving governance, investing in resilience, build back better after disasters. So, what is that we have to think about? It's the climate adaptation without DRR becomes weak. Disaster risk reduction without climate thinking becomes outdated. These two are interlinked with each other. Now, let me explain to you the target for 2013 under the SDG 13. This covers the second objective of this chapter. The United Nations lists 5 main targets under Goal 13, 13.1, 13.2, 13.3, 13A, 13B. What is target 13.1? It's strengthened resilience and adaptive capacity. Strengthened resilience and adaptive capacity to climate-related hazards and natural disaster in all countries. What this mean in practical terms? In practical terms, disaster risk assessment is equal to hazard maps plus vulnerability maps. That means stronger early warning systems, safe housing and infrastructure, better evacuation planning, resilient livelihood. So, one event does not destroy income permanently. These are interlinked, reducing deaths and people affected. Now, let me explain to you target 13.2. Integrate climate change measures. Integrate climate change measures into national policies, strategies and planning as per the United Nations. What is this translation? That means climate should not sit in one ministry file. It should appear in development plans, in budgeting, in land use planning, in building codes, in transport planning, in water and agriculture planning, in public health planning. If climate is integrated, then even normal projects become climate smart by default. Now, let me take you to target 13.3, which is on improve education awareness and capacity. Improve education awareness and capacity on climate change mitigation, adaptation, impact reduction and early warning systems. I would like to cite few examples for you. Climate change in a school and college curriculum, community awareness and training, farmer advisors and climate services, training local officials in risk management, drills for disaster preparedness, encouraging citizen action and local innovations. So, this was the explanation. Now, let me take you to 13A. Target 13A of SDG 13 is related to implementation of commitment under UNFCCC processes related to mobilizing climate finance and operationalization climatic fund. That wording is tied to $100 billion global and green climate fund context. In easy language, we can say climate action needs money, especially in developing countries. Finance should support both mitigation and adaptation, and funds should actually reach projects on ground. You can mention Green Climate Fund once in your answer if, say, suppose any question is asked in this context, as an example of the kind of institution linked with climate finance goals. Also, recent reporting continues to highlight gaps in adaptation finance. Students, UNEP's adaptation gap report as per 2024 points out progress is not fast enough to close the large adaptation finance gap. Now, let me explain to you target 13B. Target 13B is related to promoting mechanism for raising capacity for effective climate planning and management in least developed countries and small island developing states, with focus on vulnerable groups. What does it mean? In simple language, support the countries that have least resources and highest risk. It is related to the capacity building, technology support, planning support. It's the inclusion of disadvantaged group is a part of the spirit of this target, even if indicator wording changes over time.